The Grunt. I was born in a place humans call Central Africa, in a dense rainforest so beautiful no crayons could ever do it justice. Gorillas don't name their newborns right away, the way humans do. We get to know our babies first. We wait to see the hints of what they might be. When they saw how much she loved to chase me around the forest, my parents decided to name my twin sister Tag. Oh, how I loved to play tag with my sister. She was nimble, but when I got too close, she would leap onto my unsuspecting father, and then I would join her, and we would bounce on that tolerant belly until he gave us the grunt, the rooting pig sound that meant enough. That game never got old, although my father might have disagreed. Mud. Didn't take long for my parents to find my name. All day long, every day, I made pictures. I drew on the rocks, I drew on bark, and my poor mother's back. I used the sap from leaves, I used the juice from fruits, but mostly I used mud. And that is why they called me Mud. To a human, mud might not sound like much, but to me, it was everything. Protector, my family, which humans call a troop, was just like any other gorilla family. There were 10 of us. My father, the silverback, my mother, and 3 other adult females, a juvenile male called the blackback, and 2 other young gorillas. Tag and I were the babies of the group. We squabbled now and then, as families will, but my father knew how to keep us in line with a simple scowl. And for the most part, we were happy to do what we were meant to do, to feed and forage and nap and play. My father was a master at leading us to the ripest fruit of the morning for our morning feast, and the finest branches for our nightly nest. He was everything a silverback is meant to be. He was a guide, he was a teacher, and a protector. And nobody could chest beat like my father. A perfect life. Gorilla babies and elephant babies and human babies are not so different, except that gorillas get to spend the day riding on their mother's back like a cowboy on a horse. It's a pretty great system from the baby's point of view. Slowly, carefully, a young gorilla begins to venture farther and farther away from the safety of his mother's arms. He learns the skills he will need as an adult. How to make a nest for branches, weave them tightly or they will fall apart in the middle of the night. How to beat your chest, cup your palms to amplify the sound. And how to go vining from tree to tree. Don't let go. How to be kind, to be strong, and to be loyal. Growing up a gorilla is just like any kind of other growing up. You make mistakes, you play, you learn, you do it all over again. It was, for a while, the perfect life. The end. One day, a still day, when it was hot and humid, the humans came. After they captured my sister and me, they put us in a cramped, dark crate that smelled of urine and fear. Somehow I knew that in order to live, I had to let my old life die. But my sister, she just could not let go of our home. It held her like a vine, stretching across the miles, comforting and strangling. We were still in our crate when she looked at me without seeing, and I knew that the vine had finally snapped. Temporary human. It was Mac who pried open the crate, Mac who brought me, Mac who raised me like a human baby. I wore diapers. I drank from a bottle. I slept in a human bed. I sat in human chairs, listened while humans' words swarmed around me like angry bees. Mac and his wife, back then, Helen, was quick to laugh and quick to anger, too, especially when I broke something, which was often. Here is why I broke. When I lived with Mac and Helen, I broke a crib, 46 glasses, 7 lamps, and 1 couch, 3 shower curtains, 3 shower curtain rods, 1 blender, 1 TV, 1 radio, and 3 toes, my own. I broke the blender when I squeezed 3 tubes of toothpaste and a bottle of glue into it. I broke my toes attempting to swing from the lamp fixture on the ceiling. I broke 46 glasses. Well, turns out there are many ways to break a glass. Every weekend, Mac and Helen took me in their convertible to a fast food restaurant where they ordered me French fries and strawberry shake. Mac loved to see the expression on the cashier's face when he drove up and said, "Can I have some extra ketchup for my kid?" I went to baseball games, to the grocery store, to the movie theater, and even the circus. They didn't have a gorilla. I rode a little motorbike and blew out candles on my birthday cake. My life as a human was a pretty glamorous one, although my parents' were not traditional sorts, would not have approved. Hunger. In my new life as a human, I was well attended. I ate lettuce leaves and with Thousand Island dressing and caramel apples and popcorn and butter. My belly was ballooned. But hunger, like food, comes in many shapes and colors. At night, lying alone in my poo pajamas, I felt hungry for skilled touching of a grooming friend, for cheerful grunts, for playful fights, for an easy safety of my nearby troop foraging through shadows. I remember what happened to Tag. I told myself, don't think about the jungle. Still, sometimes I lie awake, wishing for the warmth of just another one like me, asleep in the night in the nest of tender prayer plant leaves. I have sips of soda poured into my mouth like a bubbling waterfall, but every now and then I long to search for the tender stalk of an arrowroot plant, to feel the tease of a mango just out of reach. Still life. One day, Helen came home with something large and flat and wrapped in brown paper. "Look what I bought today," she said excitedly as she tore out the paper. "A painting to go over the living room couch." "Fruit in a bowl?" Max said with a shrug. "Big deal." "This is fine art. It's called still life," Helen explained, "and I think it's lovely." I dashed over to examine the painting, marveling at the colors and shapes. "See?" said Mac's wife. "Ivan likes it." "Ivan likes to roll up poop and throw it at squirrels," Max said. I couldn't take my eyes off the apples and the bananas and the red grapes in the pictures. They looked real, so inviting. They looked edible. I reached out to touch the grape, and Helen slapped my hand. "Bad boy, Ivan, don't touch." She jerked her thumb back at Mac. "Honey, go get a hammer and a nail, would ya?" While Mac and Helen were busy in the living room, I wandered into the kitchen. A cake covered with thick frosting sat on the counter. I like cake. I love it, in fact. But it wasn't eating I was thinking about. It was painting. The frosting peaked and dipped like waves on a tiny pond. It looked rich and gooey and dark and smooth. It looked like mud. I scooped up a handful of frosting. I scooped up another, and I headed to the refrigerator door. It was perfect, an empty white waiting canvas. The frosting was easy to work with, just like jungle mud. It was stickier, and of course, more tempting to eat. But I kept at it. I scraped off every last bit of that frosting. I may have eaten a little cake, too. I don't remember what I was trying to paint. A banana, most likely. I suppose I knew I was going to get in deep trouble. But at that moment, I didn't care. I wanted to make something, anything, the way I used to. I wanted to be an artist again. Punishment. I soon learned that humans can screech even louder than monkeys. And after that, I was never allowed into the kitchen again. Babies. Back in those days, Big Top Mall was smaller. It had a pony ride, a wooden train, a bustle around the parking lot, and a few bedraggled parrots and a surly spider monkey. But when Mac bought me a baby gorilla dressed in crisp tuxedo to the mall, everything changed. People came from far and wide, to have their pictures taken with me. They bought me blocks and a toy guitar, and they held me on their laps. Once I even held a baby in mine. She was small and slippery. Bubbles flowed from her lips. She squeezed my fingers. Her rear was puffy with padding. Her legs bowed like bent twigs. I made a face. She made a face. I grunted. She grunted. I was so afraid she would fall that I squeezed her tightly, and her mother yanked her away. I wonder if my mother ever worried about dropping us. We always held on, but that's easier to do when your mother's furry. Human babies are an ugly lot, but their eyes, they're like our babies' eyes, too big for their faces and too big for the real world.